So my whole goal is not really to reach the MAGA folk because I don't think we're ever going to reach them. Like they're in a cult, they're getting propaganda
Yep.
shoved into their face, 24/7 from Fox News, from Facebook, from OANN. Like it's literally there was actually a chart that came out today of people who believe Zelensky is in the right. Republicans just dropped off a cliff. Like after that Trump news conference, it's at like -40 for
Mm.
Republicans who believe Zelensky is in the right, and that's solely due to the messaging that they're getting through their propaganda machines. And like we're not going to be able to deprogram those people. What we have to do is find a way to make the small c conservatives understand that right now you're being the good Germans. Like you voted for Hitler thinking he had your best interests in mind, but guess what? He doesn't have your best interests in mind. He only has his own interests in mind. And if you don't want to have a lot of regrets after the bodies stop falling, maybe do something about it now so we don't get to that point.
So I was going to ask you about that. In a CNN interview, you were asked about Trump's anti-human rights policies, including the line of the American public voted for Trump. What do you say to Americans who say, yeah, we voted for him? And your answer was Hitler was elected too. And there were a lot of very good Germans who believe Hitler was going to have their best interest in mind. So you sort of answered my question, but how, for those who are unaware, as we have seen the blueprint laid out, how is Trump the modern day Hitler to you?
Yeah, so the most important thing right now, currently, that he's doing, he's trying to erase trans people from existence. And that is what Hitler did as his first step. He identified a vulnerable group, started going after them. Obviously he hated Jewish people too, LGBTQ people, the Romanov, the I don't want to say gypsies because I think that's a slur these days. But there were a bunch of groups that he wanted to get rid of, but it started with the trans community, and that's what Donald Trump is doing. And you can already see that after they think they're done with the trans community, they're going to go after Oberfell. They're going to try to get rid of same-sex marriage. Once they get rid of same-sex marriage, now they're going to go after the LGBTQ community as a whole. They're already lining up to do that by trying to repeal Section 230, which is what prevents internet providers from being sued for content people post on their platforms. The right wing believes that LGBTQ content is pornography and that people who are in the LGBTQ community or advocate for it are pedophiles. So all of a sudden they're going to be trying to make the LGBTQ community disappear as well as those who support them. And literally it's step by step of how do you commit a genocide? That's just that specific part. The other things that Hitler did started dissolving useful parts of the German government in order to concentrate power into his own hands. I think we're seeing that happen in real time right now. Got rid of generals that knew what they were doing in order to install loyalists. We've already seen that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Firing your JAGs in order to install loyalists so that way they can say, no, this order is perfectly legal when you're talking about like what can the military do or not do. That's a good way to commit war crimes, because if the JAG says, oh, this order is legal, well, then the soldiers are going to carry it out. I would hope that our soldiers have enough, presence of mind to realize, wait a minute, even if the JAG says firing on civilians is legal, we shouldn't do that because our oath is to the Constitution first. But I don't know. Like that's a really scary area we're getting into. So yeah, like people say I'm being hyperbolic when I compare Trump to the Nazis, but the thing they don't realize is the Nazis didn't start with concentration camps and gas chambers. Like that was not in the initial plan. However, it was the natural endpoint and evolution of what they wanted to do. And we're seeing Trump already starting to do that with the deportation of immigrants to Guantanamo and to Panama. And eventually there's going to be too many people for them to deal with, undesirables that they want to deal with. And then that's where you start getting into, okay, well, how do we solve this? What's our final solution?